We are going to look at how to find Greek words in a Greek lexicon and how to find specific Greek forms using the search capabilities inside Accordance. So here we have Accordance up, and I have the NA28 Greek New Testament in a window here. We need to bring up a Greek lexicon or dictionary, and so I'm going to bring up the Newman's Greek Dictionary. So I'll go under Greek lexicons and select Newman Greek Dictionary, and that gets pulled up then in a separate window. Later, when we're doing more in-depth word studies, I will recommend using Thayer's lexicon. But for what we're doing here, the Newman Dictionary is good because the information is more condensed. Lexicons are keyed by the lexical form of a word. And so for nouns, that's the nominative singular. As we'll learn later, for verbs, the lexical form is the present active indicative first person singular. But we don't need to worry about that right now. For nouns, it's the nominative singular. So if we see a form of a word other than the nominative singular, we may not know what the lexical form of that word is. Now we can try various possibilities of spelling the word out, or we can use a wildcard for our search, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate. So let's look at the word hemera. It means day, hemera. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a part of the word, and then I'm going to use a wildcard, which is an asterisk. In order to type in Greek, I'm going to use the English keyboard, and I'm going to be using the predefined keyboard that Accordance supplies, which is called Helena Greek. And I can find that by doing a search on Accordance Greek keyboard, and I'll find then this PDF, Accordance Fonts PDF. So I need to download that, and then when I get that up, I can find what the keyboard is. And so here's the font, accordancefonts.pdf, and I've got it at the page where it says Helena Greek font. And it shows me the mapping of my English keyboard to the Greek characters. Some of the keys are pretty obvious, like E goes to epsilon, R goes to rho, T goes to tau. Some of them aren't quite so obvious. Y is going to give you C, and C will give you key. So there's just some equivalences. So to find a word in my Greek dictionary, first I need to make sure that the blue-gray oval is set to Greek entry. You have some other options. You want Greek entry here. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in on my English keyboard HMER star or asterisk. So HMER star. So, and that's going to give me then eta, mu, epsilon, rho, according to the equivalences that we saw in the keyboard mapping. And then the star, the asterisk, is my wildcard character. So then I hit enter. Notice that I've got only one word here that begins with eta, mu, epsilon, rho. The wildcard will give me any word that begins with those four characters. And it looks like, in this case, there's only one, which is fine. It's hemera. And so we found our word. Notice that the genitive ending is alpha sigma, and that tells us its first declension, and then it tells us that we have a feminine. Now, to figure out the inflection of this word, the actual word here has this iota subscript under the final alpha, and that's going to tell me that it's dative singular. That iota subscript is very indicative of dative singular. But if I don't know that, then I can go ahead and try to find an example of that word and then parse it using accordance. So I'm going to come over here to my New Testament. The range I have set up here is from previous searches, 1 John 1:5 to 2:5. If I want to find a word in general, I probably won't find it in that little range. So I'm going to go up here, click that range, and change it to all text. It's up at the top. Now I'll be looking through the entire New Testament. Now I'm going to type in quotation mark, HMERA, those are the equivalent characters to give me the word I'm looking for, and then another quotation mark. The quotation marks are very important. And what I've typed in is the word without any accents. So just the letters without any accents. And so I've got that in quotation marks, and then I hit enter. And then notice that I get any word that has those letters. Notice I have examples here with the iota subscript, Matthew 6:34, Matthew 7:22, and most of these have the iota subscript. I think I need to come down a ways. Here's an example without the iota subscript. So that's a different case. We're looking for ones that match our word exactly. So we may find, for Himera, we may find some that do not have an iota subscript. That's a different case. We're looking for this one in particular. Okay, so let's go back and find one that has what we're looking for. There it is in Matthew 6:34. It's got the iota subscript. So now if I get my instant details, I'm going to move this over so I can see it. Get the instant details. Notice it tells me it is dative, feminine singular. And so now I know it's dative, which I already did know because of the iota subscript, but I'm figuring this out kind of the brute force way and finding an example of it and then using accordance to find the parsing. Okay, let's do a different example. Let's look at the word thanato. First I want to find the dictionary entry for that. So I'm going to come over to the dictionary and I'm going to type in Q, which is the letter on this keyboard mapping for theta, QANAT, and then asterisk. So thanat plus the asterisk then tells me to find any word that begins with those letters. So then I hit return. Now notice that I get three words here. The first one is thanatepharos. That looks like it's a adjective meaning deadly. The second one I get is thanatos. And then the third one I get is thanatao, which is a verb. So clearly what I'm looking for here is thanatos. The genitive of OU tells me that this is a second declension noun. It tells us it's masculine, and it means death. Okay, so here's the lexical form, thanatos. Now, the form that I'm looking at has a iota subscript, so again, I'm looking at dative singular. But if I don't know that, I can go over here to my NA28 window, type in quotation mark, QANAT, and then for the omega, I'm going to do a W on my keyboard. That gives me my omega. And then quotation mark. Remember, the quotation marks are important because that's going to give me the words that have that exact spelling. If I don't do the quotation marks, it will look for words that have the lexical form that looks like that, and that's not going to be as helpful because no word actually has that exact lexical form. Okay, so thanato, enter, and notice then I see a number of examples here where I've got thanato. Interestingly, in the New Testament we have the accent in a different place than what the exercise gave us. I wouldn't worry too much about that. So we have thanato here, and the thing to look at is when I look at the instant details, it is a dative masculine singular. Well, I pretty well knew it was dative singular because of the iota subscript. This is verifying that for us. Let's look at one more example. We want to find the word oikon. So it may not be exactly clear. We don't know if it's masculine or neuter, perhaps, if we're not familiar with the word. So the ON ending If it's neuter, it could be either nominative or accusative. If it's masculine, it will be accusative. So let's find that in the dictionary. Come over here. Now I could type OIK, which is what I need to get the Omicron, Iota, Kappa, star. If I do that, I'm going to get a whole bunch of words because the OIK begins a lot of words. And I need to come all the way down to what looks like the word here is oikos. Now I could type OIK O star, or Omicron, Iota, Kappa, Omicron star. It's sometimes easier just to give the English equivalents, OIKO star. And that will give me less to sort through. Eventually I get down here to oikos. The OU for the genitive tells me that it's second declension. And notice that it says it's masculine. The OS kind of told me that already. And so that means that my form here, oikon, is accusative singular. So it's accusative masculine singular. Now if I'm really unsure about how to figure that out, I can go over here, use my quotation marks, O-I-K-O-N, that's the entire word. Notice the Greek letters appear. Omicron, Iota, Kappa, Omicron, Nu. Return, and then I get a number of cases where I get the word that I'm looking for showing up in the biblical text, and then if I click on that word, notice that it comes up as accusative masculine singular. And that verifies what I already knew from looking at the ending. So this is a summary of how to use accordance to both look up a word in a lexicon or dictionary, and then how to use the search capability in accordance to find particular forms of a word if we're unsure about the parsing of that word. Once you've learned the endings, you should be able to parse any word pretty well. You won't need to go and search through the New Testament to find examples of that form, but this can be helpful as a way to both check your work and to find places in the New Testament where this word is used in a particular case and get some familiarity with that particular word, its range of meaning in different contexts. So it can be a way to enrich your knowledge of a particular word and then also of the New Testament.